This movie is describing the mini visualizations section of the CI dashboard. If you've watched our movie on large visualizations, you'll remember this top section, but I'll go through it again. The first thing you do is you choose the language you want for the embeddable. This isn't the language you'll see in our interface, but the language you'll see when you embed these items on your website. So currently we have English, which is the default, German, Spanish, and Portuguese. The next item is the URL that supplies the visualization data we need to draw these embeddables. Basically, it'll be a URL that returns a json-ld formatted data. Here it describes a little bit more detail about that, and here is a link to our help page which has more detail exactly about the format that you need to supply the data in. You can also say here how long we cache that data for. So when we first load it on the server, it will be put in a cache for however many minutes you say, and then if you have more than one visualization or the visualization is refreshing, it will not get the data from you again, basically. So if you have a site with fairly static data that you're visualizing, you could speed things up by putting a high cache time on it. And if you have a site where the data changes quite a lot, you can put a lower cache time. The default is a minute. This section here is if you want to override the terminology. So we have some key names in the system, like the node type names, the link type names, we give you the opportunity to override. For example, we may call something an idea, you might want to call it a solution. So we provide a way for you to override these terms, and there's a whole help page describing exactly what that needs to look like, but basically you put in a URL that returns a JSON file of a specific format, and we'll suck it in and we'll override the terms. So the mini visualizations page currently has 6 mini visualizations, and they're statistical visualizations, really. So we have sort of 2 different sites. We have basic statistics, so this is user contribution by type, this is viewing activity over time, and this is a bar chart of word count averages in the contributions to your data set. The other 3 are traffic light visualizations, and they are attempting to give you an indication of the health of your conversation based on 3 different types of information. So this is participation. How healthy is the participation in your conversation? How healthy is the viewing activity? And how healthy is the contribution activity? So each of these has a little question mark, and if you click on that, it will describe exactly how we calculate whether we think it's a red traffic light, a yellow traffic light, or a green traffic light. And obviously we have determined some data points that we think are important. So let's preview, for example, contribution activity. So I've put my URL in the top already, and let's have a look at what it thinks contribution activity is like. Okay, not great. That's because I'm using an old data set of a conversation that's no longer active, and the contribution activity looks at contributions in the last 2 weeks. So obviously if no people have contributed, then it's red traffic light. There's a problem, and this is only a problem obviously if it's a current live debate they are expecting activity on. So these embeddables would be time sensitive, and you wouldn't necessarily embed them on a closed conversation, but it's a good thing to have there when a conversation is running. It gives you an idea of what's going on, and you might only choose to embed it for perhaps your moderators to see, for example. So that's just a quick overview of the mini visualizations page.